What do you do when your home gets damaged by flood or fire? Let's check in with partner at Fire and Flood Attorneys, Eric Townsend.
Yeah, he's back. Aaron Townsend in the house. What's up, my friend?
Good to see you, Derek.
How you doing, buddy?
Very good.
All right. Looking fresh. I see the new glasses there.
Thank you.
I have mine now.
Yeah, they look good.
So we have that going on.
Yeah, right.
What should someone do when their property gets damaged by fire or flood? This is one of those things that seems to come in waves, right? Like the fires come, and then it becomes a big concern for everyone. Prior to that, it's not. The rains come for weeks at a time, and all this stuff happens, and then it becomes... So this is one of those really timely issues, it seems like. So how can someone learn something from you today about how not to let it be like that?
Absolutely. They do come in waves. The fires are typically covered. Those are usually covered losses. During the rains, they can be covered losses, but it depends on how it happens. There's a couple of things that are excluded from policies unless you specifically ask for that to be included in a policy. Those include floods, seepage, things that, and anything that's happened over a long period of time. So if you have ongoing damage, sometimes those things won't be covered. It's always worth it to look and find out. A lot of claims get denied that aren't really denied claims. So those come up, and we have to go out with our experts and make sure, you know, that it is a covered claim, figure out how it is a covered claim. And if it's not a covered claim, let the homeowner know so they know what to do. But
Gotcha.
Typically we can get it covered.
Okay.
There's some way.
And so what's that process like? Because essentially these insurance policies are contracts.
Correct.
And in the contract it says, if this, then this, basically.
Yeah.
That's the basic way of looking at it.
Right, that's it.
And what the insurance companies like to do is say, oh, well, the if didn't happen, so the then isn't going to happen. In other words, your claim is illegitimate, so therefore we're not going to pay you for it. Or we're only going to give you this much because of this reason.
Correct.
And what you do is you go in and try to help people figure out, is that really the reality of the situation, and how much compensation should they really get?
That's exactly it. That's precisely it. You actually summed it up perfect for me. That's really good. When you go through and you look at a claim, a homeowner goes through a loss. They have something that's sudden and accidental, happens to the property. Once that happens, once you have that occurrence, you determine whether it's a covered claim. When they're going through the process, anytime there's an opportunity for the insurance to deny it, they're going to try to magnify that one aspect that would make it a denial. So what we do is we go in and we look to see if there's other causes, other things that attributed to that. If we can find other causes for the loss, then we can go back in and say, no, this is covered because we had another cause that affected this and caused it. That's kind of a very simplified way of explaining that. The contract itself, there's tons of things. There's several different provisions you have to go through in the contract as an insured, as the actual claimant, to timeframes you have to hit, information you have to provide, cooperating with the insurance company to help them analyze the claim so they understand what it is. There's other things that you have to do, like statements of loss. You have to do a sworn statement of loss to the insurance company. That's usually in the contract. The big things to keep to keep an eye out for in the contract are the statute of limitations. Statute of limitations are usually set by statute, but in some events they'll have a contractual provision that has a shortened period of time. In insurance policies, they have a shortened period of time. It's usually a year, so it's quite a bit shortened. That's in regards to, so if we're talking about a denied claim, that's how you go through with a denied claim. If you have a regular claim where you go through the process and it's something that is covered, insurance comes out and determines, hey, this is a covered claim, this is something that we're going to cover. What happens then is they go through their evaluation. And when they go through their evaluation of the loss, they'll come back with a number, and often that number will be far lower than what is the actual amount that should be paid under that policy.
Gotcha.
So if that policy has a much higher number, you'll never find out because homeowners don't know who to contact, who to get in touch with, to basically put their claim together and put it back in front of the insurance company and say, hey, this is actually what I'm owed. That's where we can step in. Homeowners, when they're going through the process, you know, our main goal is to not slow down the process. We don't want to stop the mitigation. We want them to get going with the repairs. We want all those things to continue going. When we jump into the claim, we can jump in, give a second opinion. If the insurance has already approved another amount, they're going to pay that. They have to pay it within a statutory period. So we can use that money to begin the process. Then when we come in and we contest the value and go for a higher value, that gives us the ability to get more money that's necessary for the repairs.
I see. So in the process of what you're doing, they don't have to necessarily halt everything.
Right.
And now that statute of limitations, is that something that typically would prevent someone, if they're watching this right now, who's like, hey, our insurance, remember when our insurance denied that claim, you know?
Yeah.
Does that prevent people from like redigging up old cases a lot of times, or do a lot of people come to you who are like, this happened, you know, a year or two ago? What's the deal on that?
It depends. If it happened a year or two ago, but they've been in the process with the insurance company for the last year and a half. So let's say it's 2 years ago that the loss occurred, but for the last year and a half they've been dealing with insurance, which that's not typically the case. But if it did go that long, the period that they're working with the insurance company tolls the actual statute of limitations period.
It does.
Yeah. So you don't have to, if you have a claim and you submit it to the insurance, until there's a final determination on that file, until there's a final determination on that claim, you don't have to worry about that statute of limitations. It tolls during that period.
Gotcha. So only if they were denied and they stopped communicating with the insurance company does that statute start.
Right. Or if there was if they gave a final settlement for the claim.
Okay, saying, hey, here's your $2,000.
Right.
Sign right here.
Exactly.
Then it's over.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Because I have a feeling there's probably, I mean, especially from all the rain that we got and there's so much stuff.
Yeah. Rain's interesting too.
Right. It seemed like everyone had a roof leak.
Yeah.
I mean, can you tell me how many people had roof leaks?
Yeah.
It was a legitimate excuse. It was like the dog ate my homework type situation. It's like, everyone's like, yeah, I can't make it, roof leak. You know, I mean, I heard that like 10 times.
They're serious. When you run into rain comes in through two ways. It's wind driven, and you'll have damage to a part of the house because of the wind driven, because of the wind. The wind causes roof tiles to pop up, creates entry points for water to intrude into the property. That damage that occurs, that roof may be covered. It depends on the policy and how it's written. So the damage that's actually caused from the wind might cover the roof. If the roof isn't covered because of age or another reason why it might not be covered, the ensuing damage may still be covered. Probably will still be covered if it's from a roof.
Gotcha.
When you start getting to ground level, when it turns into groundwater is not covered. It's specifically for floods. So unless you have a flood policy, unless you have that endorsement on your policy, you're not going to be covered for groundwater.
I wonder how many people have flood insurance in Southern California.
Not too many.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's something that you should know then. I mean, that's
for sure.
You know, or I guess some policies have like kind of a catch-all provision of some kind, or like an umbrella provision.
These are the policy. Most policies out there, they cover everything except for what's excluded from the policy.
Gotcha.
So they cover any kind of loss that's out there unless it's specifically excluded. So usually earthquake is excluded. Sometimes if you're in a high fire prone area where there's a lot of fires, they may exclude that for fire damage.
Wow.
Yeah, earthquake is another one. Flood, I think I already said that one. Those are some of the things that can be excluded from
Sorry,
policies.
sir, you're in a highly likely area for fire to take place, so we're not going to cover that. The hell am I getting insurance?
Right. That's the part where you probably will get insurance for it, but you're going to pay a lot of money for it.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
they'll pretty much insure you for just about anything. It's just actuarial tables and stuff like that. They got to figure out how much to charge you.
Yeah.
And it can be tough too, especially here where for a while there were a lot of companies that were just not issuing homeowner insurance for certain areas,
right,
because of the fires.
Right.
And we had a bad run. We had a bad few years there.
Yeah.
But since then, they really seem to have it under control. When the fires break out, man, they're on top of it.
Yeah.
The response times are shortened. The technology that they're using to fight the fires is better.
Yeah.
But I bet a lot of people are still paying super high premiums.
Absolutely.
As a result of what happened in the past.
Yeah.
Maybe now's a good time to take a look at that. Who knows?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's always good to review your policies with your insurance broker. Insurance brokers are your first line of defense to make sure your policy is written the right way. Most insurance brokers, when you talk to them, you may not even speak to them at all. That insurance broker going through what provisions you have, what coverages you have, it's key, and to know what things are there are really important. Alternative living expenses are important. Most people don't consider those things. You want to make sure you have a good duration of period, a good period of time that they'll cover you if there's a loss. So if you're dispossessed from your house and your coverage is only for 3 months or 6 months, then if the building process, and we know in San Diego getting building permits and going through the whole process can take quite a while. If it goes beyond that period of time, now you run into a problem with ALE, with the alternative living expenses.
And I don't know how much you can say here today. But are there any insurance companies that are a real pain to work with that you can name?
You know, there's some that are they go through cycles. It's kind of funny.
Really?
I think when they go through their loss provisions and their claims and everything else, I think they adjust over time, and sometimes one will be better than another. I think all the guys that work on the insurance side, they're not out to get anybody, but they're definitely, you know, when they write up the claims, they come up with an opinion of value, and it's a different opinion than what we come up with.
It's a biased opinion, let's say.
It's a bias. It's kind of a biased opinion.
There's a little bit of a conflict there.
It's like, how much is your house worth? Right?
How much is your anything worth? Right. It doesn't matter what it is.
Exactly.
Especially your house, though. People are their eyes are getting really big in that regard. Well, Eric, thanks for coming on today and shedding some light for us. Really
Thanks,
appreciate
Derek.
your time. Great
Thank
stuff,
you.
Eric Townsend. Stick around for more Smarter San Diego TV, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else, commercial free.